Cave exploration is thrilling, but sometimes it ends in tragedy. From narrow passages to sudden floods, these underground worlds have claimed lives in terrifying ways. This list dives into the most painful cave deaths ever recorded, stories of explorers who faced the darkest, tightest, and deadliest corners of the earth. One cave story that has haunted generations is the tragic tale of Neil Moss, a 20-year-old Oxford student who ventured too deep into Peak Cavern in 1959 and never came back. Bright, adventurous, and eager to explore, Neil saw a narrow, unexplored shaft and thought, "Let's see where it goes." What began as a weekend of exploration turned into one of the most heartbreaking cave rescues in British history. The place he entered, nicknamed the Devil's Arse, is a vast cave system in Derbyshire, UK. Neil descended into a vertical shaft, now known as Moss Rift, using a rope to lower himself into an extremely narrow passage nearly 1,000 feet from the surface. The deeper he went, the tighter the space became until he was hopelessly wedged, unable to move up or down. Panic spread. Volunteers from across the country, cavers, miners, engineers, even the RAF rushed to help. They tried everything, hauling ropes, winches, lubricants, even a stretcher, but the shaft was so narrow that reaching Neil was nearly impossible. One of the bravest attempts came from June Bailey, a young caver who squeezed into the space to comfort him. But the deeper rescuers went, the worse conditions became. Carbon dioxide levels rose dangerously, and many rescuers had to be pulled out before passing out. Neil drifted in and out of consciousness, and after more than 30 hours underground, he stopped responding. He had suffocated. Neil's family requested his body be left where it was to prevent further risk. The shaft was gently filled with rocks and a memorial placed nearby. His story became a turning point for cave rescue in the UK, changing how operations were conducted. Today, Neil Moss remains a chilling symbol of bravery, tragedy, and the unforgiving power of nature. In early 20th century cave exploration, few tales are as haunting as Floyd Collins, whose ambition and misfortune collided underground. On January 30th, 1925, Collins, a seasoned Kentucky caver, entered Sand Cave hoping to discover a new tourist-worthy passage that would benefit his family's land. But as he squeezed through a narrow tunnel, a rock shifted and pinned his leg. Trapped 55 feet below the surface, Floyd's solo adventure became one of America's most infamous cave entrapment stories. Rescue attempts began immediately, drawing hundreds of volunteers, but the tight space and unstable conditions made access nearly impossible. News of Floyd's ordeal exploded across the country. A media circus formed outside the cave, with reporters, vendors, and crowds creating a surreal mix of chaos and concern. For the first time in history, radio updates broadcast a live unfolding disaster, turning the event into a national obsession. Amid the frenzy, a young reporter named Skeets Miller crawled into the shaft to reach Floyd, delivering food, water, and interviews, earning a Pulitzer Prize for his courage. But despite everyone's efforts, the tunnel collapsed further. A new shaft was dug, but it took too long. Isolated, immobile, and exposed to cold, Floyd died after 14 days underground, likely from hypothermia or exhaustion. Even in death, Floyd's story took dark turns. His body remained trapped for months, and when finally recovered, was displayed in a glass-topped coffin at Crystal Cave to draw tourists. His remains were even stolen before ultimately being buried properly years later. Today, Floyd Collins is remembered not just as a victim of nature's cruelty, but as a symbol of media spectacle gone too far. His story lingers as a chilling reminder of how ambition, tragedy, and public curiosity can spiral into something both unforgettable and unsettling. Eric Establie wasn't just any cave diver. He was one of France's most respected underwater explorers, a seasoned hydrologist with years of experience navigating Europe's most treacherous submerged cave systems. On September 3, 2010, he entered the Dragonnière de God cave in southern France as part of a research dive studying the Ardèche region's water network. This cave wasn't for amateurs. Narrow, flooded, and extremely complex, it demanded absolute precision. For Eric, it was familiar territory, but something went terribly wrong. When he didn't return, a massive rescue operation began. The cave's tight passages and murky waters posed extreme challenges. French rescue teams soon called in two elite British divers, Rick Stanton and John Valanthan, already legends in cave diving and later known for rescuing the Thai soccer team in 2018. Hopes rested on the possibility that Eric had found an air pocket beyond a collapse. Rescuers braved near-zero visibility and dangerous conditions, inching through the submerged maze. On September 11th, after days of tense searching, divers found Eric's body roughly 980 meters from the entrance, at a depth of 60 meters. Signs suggested he had indeed survived for a time in a small air pocket and had even attempted to find a way out. His death devastated not just the rescue team, but the entire global cave diving community. Eric wasn't just a diver. He was a passionate scientist, a father, and a respected figure in exploration. His passing reignited conversations about the inherent risks of cave diving, even for the best. It also underscored the courage of rescuers who risk everything in these unforgiving environments. Though the Dragonnier de God claimed one of the finest, Eric's legacy endures in the maps he helped create, the lives he inspired, and the safety reforms his loss prompted. Jacob's Well in Texas, with its crystal-clear waters and peaceful surface, hides one of the most dangerous underwater cave systems in the U.S. In 1983, that deceptive beauty claimed the life of 22-year-old Richard Patton. On November 23rd, Patton and his diving partner, both experienced and well-equipped, entered the submerged passages of Jacob's Well, a place that had already taken multiple lives. Though once sealed with a metal grate due to previous deaths, the cave had been reopened, tempting divers into its deadly depths. The pair descended about 90 feet before squeezing into a tight tunnel, removing their tanks and sharing a single regulator, a risky move with zero margin for error. Inside the maze-like cave, one tank got stuck. With air running low and orientation lost, the divers attempted to retreat but mistakenly entered a blind chimney, a vertical shaft that led nowhere. Patton's partner managed to escape, but Patton remained trapped and drowned. His body was found the next morning in that very shaft, a grim reminder of how unforgiving cave diving can be. Patton's death wasn't just another statistic. It highlighted how even trained divers can be undone by nature's complexity. Cave diving demands more than skill and gear. It requires razor-sharp spatial awareness, calm under pressure, and a strong sense of when to turn back. Jacob's Well had already claimed 9 lives by the mid-1980s, including Patton's, due to its sudden drop-offs and disorienting verticals. Today, Jacob's Well remains popular above ground, but its underwater cave is a somber, cautionary tale in the diving world. Richard Patton's story is often used in training as a powerful example of the risks in overhead environments, where one wrong turn can mean no way back. The lesson is clear: even serene waters can hide deadly traps. In the summer of 1974, beneath the hills of South Wales, Roger Solari entered Ogof Agen Alwed, a sprawling cave system with a name straight out of fantasy. But instead of treasures, this story came with cold water, darkness, and one of Britain's most haunting cave diving disappearances. Roger, part of a team of skilled explorers, was diving the terminal sumps, tight, water-filled tunnels for only the boldest divers. He and Martin Farr reached the 4th sump, a notoriously difficult section. Martin turned back after assessing the conditions. Roger went on alone and was never seen again. Panic swept the caving world. Rescue efforts began immediately. Dozens of divers plunged into the cave's depths, but all they found was silence. No body, no gear, not even a flipper. Weeks passed and the mystery only deepened. Years later, Martin Farr, now a legendary cave diver, returned to the sump and claimed he saw what might be Roger's remains lodged in a dangerous, unreachable section. The cave was too perilous for retrieval. In time, part of the cave was named the Remembrance Series in Roger's honor. His story lingered not just for its tragedy, but for the unsettling absence of closure. Unlike most cave diving accidents, Roger's disappearance offered no finality. He vanished like smoke into stone. Roger Solari's name is now whispered in dive briefings and echoed in documentaries. His story is a solemn reminder that even the most skilled explorers are at nature's mercy. Caves are beautiful but merciless. Roger didn't just dive into the unknown, he became part of it. Forever entombed in the place he loved, his legacy lives on in the limestone silence of Agen Alwed, a legend buried deep beneath the surface, honored with awe and remembered with quiet respect. In 1984, Slovak mountaineer Jozef Psotka set out to do something few had ever dared to reach the summit of Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen. At the age of 50, he was not only challenging the physical extremes of the world's highest peak, but also the biological limits of human endurance. Alongside him were fellow climber Zoltan Demjan and the experienced Ang Rita Sherpa, a mountaineering legend in his own right. Their approach was bold and minimalist. No oxygen tanks, no frills, just skill, resilience, and trust in one another. After a grueling climb through Everest's treacherous southeast ridge, navigating the infamous Khumbu icefall and weather that could change in minutes, the trio reached the summit on October 15, 1984. For Psotka, it was the realization of a lifelong dream, and his success made him one of the oldest climbers at the time to reach the top without artificial oxygen. But Everest has a way of reminding climbers that the summit is only half the journey. On the descent, things took a tragic turn. Psotka became separated from his teammates, likely due to exhaustion, altitude sickness, or shifting conditions, somewhere near the dangerous Kangshung face. He fell, possibly slipping or succumbing to the effects of extreme altitude. His body was later found far below, a stark and heartbreaking reminder of the mountain's unforgiving nature. Though his life ended on Everest, Jozef Psotka's legacy lives on. His courage, determination, and pioneering spirit continue to inspire climbers around the world. In Slovakia, he is honored not just as a mountaineer, but as a symbol of human endurance and the price sometimes paid in pursuit of greatness. In the sweltering Florida heat of August 2010, 30-year-old Ben McDaniel decided to take a dive, literally, into the mysterious waters of Vortex Spring, a place known for its crystal-clear visibility, scenic underwater caves, and a reputation that screams, "Enter at your own risk." Ben, tall and tanned with a curious mind and a bit of a rebellious streak, was no stranger to scuba diving. But here's the kicker. He wasn't certified for cave diving. Still, that didn't stop him from eyeing the locked gate that led to the forbidden deep. Some say it was curiosity, others say it was a daredevil's itch. Whatever it was, Ben was last seen on August 18th, slipping past the gate with 2 tanks of air, not even the right gas mix, and a big helping of misplaced confidence. And then he was gone. No bubbles, no gear, no body. Search teams sent down elite divers, ROVs, and even cadaver dogs. One pro diver swore that if Ben had gone far into the cave, he would have left signs like displaced silt or scraped walls. But there was nothing. It's like he vanished into another dimension. Theories flooded in. Maybe he staged his own disappearance. Maybe there was foul play. Maybe the cave swallowed him whole. Even years later, the mystery remains as deep as the cave itself. The diving community still debates it over beer and speculation, with no conclusion in sight. His parents even offered a reward for his body, but all they got were more questions and a lot of murky conspiracy theories. So now Ben McDaniel is like the Bigfoot of scuba diving. Everyone's got a theory, nobody's got proof. One thing's for sure, Vortex Spring is beautiful, eerie, and absolutely not the place to go poking around locked gates without a certification and a serious respect for the deep. In 2014, a team of 5 experienced Finnish divers set out to complete a bold traverse through Norway's Plura Grotta, one of Europe's deepest and most challenging cave systems. Their mission was ambitious. Enter the frigid waters of Plura Lake, navigate over 2.5 kilometers of submerged tunnels at depths nearing 130 meters, and emerge on the other side through Steinugelflage, a dry cave exit. But beneath the icy surface, things went horribly wrong. During the dive, Jari Huotarinen became trapped in a tight passageway, his equipment entangled, leading to panic and ultimately drowning. Hours later, Jari Usamaki encountered the scene, and in a tragic turn, he too lost his life, likely overwhelmed by shock and disorientation. The remaining divers had no choice but to press forward. When they surfaced and reported the incident, Norwegian authorities immediately sealed off the cave, declaring it too dangerous for recovery efforts. But the survivors, friends, and fellow divers of the deceased refused to leave their friends behind. In an act of remarkable courage and defiance, they launched a secret recovery mission days later, risking their lives to retrieve the bodies from over 120 meters deep. That mission was captured in the hauntingly powerful documentary Diving into the Unknown, a film that tells not just a story of tragedy, but of loyalty, friendship, and the perilous beauty of cave diving. The incident sent shockwaves through the diving community, a sobering reminder that even the best-trained divers can be humbled by the unforgiving nature of deep underwater caves. Plura, with its crystal-clear waters and hidden dangers, remains both a siren song and a stark warning to those who dare venture into its depths. It is a place where one mistake can mean the difference between surfacing and not. In the wild limestone depths of Mexico's Sierra Juarez Mountains lies Sistema Cheve, a cave so deep it could make your ears pop just thinking about it. Back in 1991, a young, ambitious American caver named Christopher Joerger joined an elite expedition to explore this beast. Now, Chris wasn't just any guy with a helmet and a headlamp. He was called the Kid by the team, a nickname that oozed both admiration and a tiny bit of, this guy better not mess up. He had guts, heart, and a backpack probably heavier than his hopes. The plan: push deeper into Chev than anyone had dared before. The catch: Chev isn't exactly friendly. It's dark, cold, flooded in parts, and it likes to chew up gear and test patience like a grumpy dungeon master. Somewhere around 850 meters down, almost a vertical kilometer beneath the surface, things took a tragic turn. Christopher was descending a 23-meter pitch using a rappel rack, which is basically a metal spaghetti twirler for ropes, when it suddenly popped off his harness. Yep, just popped off. Gravity, not being a fan of mistakes, did what gravity does. The fall was catastrophic, and rescue in those conditions was out of the question. The team was devastated. They buried him inside the cave, wrapping his body in a tarp and sealing it with stones. It wasn't until a year later that his body was recovered and returned to his family. Christopher's story is a heartbreaking reminder that caving is no joke. You're not just battling darkness and rock, you're facing the very edge of human endurance. Still, in the world of exploration, the Kid earned a place of respect. He went deep chasing wonder, and that kind of boldness never really disappears. Artur Kozlowski wasn't just a cave diver. He was a pioneer who turned the mysterious and often overlooked underwater caves of Ireland into a mapped frontier of human exploration. Born in Poland, Artur moved to Ireland and quickly became one of its most accomplished cave divers, pushing the boundaries of where man could go beneath the surface. In 2008, he broke the record for the deepest cave dive in Ireland and the UK, diving 103 meters into Politumery. But it wasn't just about depth for him. It was about discovery, connection, and understanding a hidden world few dared to enter. On September 5, 2011, Artur descended into Polynora 10, a waterlogged cave tucked away near Kiltartan, County Galway. It was supposed to be a routine exploration, something he'd done countless times before. He entered the cave around 3 p.m. with 6 hours of breathing gas, but when night fell and he still hadn't returned, concern turned to dread. A massive search began, involving local divers and eventually the elite British cave rescue specialists Rick Stanton and John Valanthan. After days of effort, Artur's body was found 52 meters underwater, roughly 810 meters from the entrance to the known limits of the cave. The recovery was challenging, requiring world-class expertise and care. His death sent shockwaves through the diving community, not just because of the loss of a talented explorer, but because of the immense respect he had earned. Artur left behind not only maps and records, but also a legacy of curiosity, courage, and commitment to exploring the unknown. Today, the Kozlowski Fund continues his work, supporting cave exploration in Ireland in his name. His final dive may have ended in silence, but his story still echoes through every tunnel he charted.